Friend, Chapter 24, entitled Home and Dry. Well, we're here, he said as he got to the gate. Well, aren't you going to invite me in? She asked bossily. Tim was taken aback. He'd never brought a girl home before, and he was nervous. Who's this? Said his mum, smiling as she greeted her. This is Emma, said Tim. She's my friend, he added confidently. He was a little worried that his mum would ask him lots of questions about Emma, as he didn't know her very well. Emma and his mum were getting on great, and Tim began to feel sad that his dad wasn't around. It was hard for him not seeing him grow up and experiencing new things. Tim sat at the table drinking his coffee and he listened to his mum and Emma chatting back and forth as if they had known each other for years. Tim's eyes began to wander. He looked up at himself in the mirror and his face was changing and he could see that he was moving from being a boy to a man. A shadow seemed to appear behind him in the mirror. He concentrated more, and slowly the form began to take shape. It was his dad's face, and he was smiling. Tears pricked Tim's eyes, and he looked round at his mum and Emma, but they were both oblivious to what he'd seen. His dad was still there, watching out for him, thought Tim, and a warm feeling of contentment spread over him. He was so engrossed that he didn't hear a word they were saying. It was as if he was in another world. More tea, said his mum, and he quickly came back to earth, as if a cord had snapped, and he glanced at the mirror, and he was once again looking at his reflection, only. Emma had told me lots of stories, his mum said. She's led an amazing life, his mum said enthusiastically. Tim nodded, and he didn't want his mum to know that he knew next to nothing about her. You know that she's been all the way to America, his mum exclaimed, with eyes as big as dinner plates. Tim was impressed. He'd always wanted to go there. Where did you go? Said Tim, hoping to be filled in. Oh, New York, Emma said matter-of-factly, as if she was talking about visiting the local shops. Tim was on the edge of his seat as she described Central Park and the Statue of Liberty, and as she spoke it took shape and it was as if he was there. The yellow taxis ferrying busy businessmen to work, the horses and carriages slowly galloping through the park as couples held hands, the sounds of buskers and jazzy music filling the air. It all filled his mind like a movie. Tim, are you listening? His mum said, concerned, and she prodded his arm. Oh, sorry, he said. He was embarrassed. Emma continued, and she told them how she had been frightened on the aeroplane. It felt like going to the moon, she said. I love to go there, said Tim. It's so exciting, and everything moves so fast. Not like here, he added. Even the snails here have no energy. He said, grinning. Ha ha, that's funny, said Emma. You say the funniest things, she said, and Tim blushed. He looked up at his mum and she smiled at him. It was a smile of approval. Emma finished her coffee and she pushed back a chair. I have to go now, she said. It's been lovely meeting you all, she said sincerely, and his mum gave her a hug. And Tim walked Emma to the gate. They walked outside and it was getting dark and the stars were beginning to appear. They stood at the gate and Tim began to feel nervous as Emma began to look at him in a funny way. Tim wasn't sure what was expected of him, but he thought a kiss was coming, and he was right.